chances are you're one of the 10 to 40 million people that own a pistol with a brace on the back end of it, and you're thinking, what the hell am I supposed to do now? And so today I'm just going to tell you where I think this is going, why this is a Second Amendment issue for sure, and just my plans on what I'm going to be doing with brace pistols. So these things have actually been around for a long time now, and the ATF has consistently flip-flopped on these things more than a pair of rainbows in the summertime, and so now they officially say that no, you cannot have this. And it's really funny how unelected bureaucrats can just all of a sudden make rules that make millions and millions of law-abiding citizens felons overnight, literally overnight. So January 31st is when this new rule went into place. So what are the options? If you're not familiar with this, let me tell you what you could do according to the ATF. You could hand your weapon over, the whole thing, right to them. Here you go. Go to your local ATF office and just give it to them. Boom, you're good to go. No need to do anything else. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You could destroy the brace. Now, let's just look at it as a piece of property that you purchased legally, and now they're saying, no, you can't have this. You must destroy it. Or you could alter the brace where it can never be attached again. Or you could take something like this really awesome SP5 and you could slap a 16-inch barrel on this thing and then just keep your brace on there because now it's a rifle and you're good to go, making this way less dangerous too, by the way. Or you could register it as an SBR. But don't worry, they're going to waive the $200 tax stamp for you. If you look at it, the ATF has literally dangled these things in front of gun owners. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, you almost had it. Consistently over the years, and they continue to play this game, and that's exactly what it is. Depending on the day that they're having or who's in charge or who's telling them to do what, at the end of the day, they have used these things as a pawn. And in my opinion, if they wanted to, and this is just speculation, I'm not saying that this is the case, but it's really weird how these things, for the longest time, could be shouldered, not shouldered, shouldered, not shouldered. Now that you just can't have them at all, right? So wouldn't it be funny if they said, listen, let's just let these things go for a while. Let's see how many millions of them get out there, and until we really have to, then we'll make it to where they have to register them. You know how many tens of millions of guns we can find out where those things are now if we were to do that? I don't know, it's just speculation. I'm not saying that's what happened, but man, if every person that owned a brace pistol now registered them, wow, they would have a really serious catalog of who has guns. And so for the people that say this is not a Second Amendment issue, it actually really is because of that. You know, registration is one of those things that we all know leads to confiscation, and there's just no other way around. I don't know that anybody really debates that part of it. And the government knowing who has these guns defeats the Second Amendment in and of itself. Because if I wanted to make this into an SBR, I would have paid the $200 tax stamp and bought a regular stock. I didn't want to do that because they said that these were okay to put on the back of a pistol. Now, I think if you've been around these long enough, you've probably seen this coming. I mean, it really isn't that hard to figure out that at some point, these were going to be, whether you call them a pawn or a scapegoat for a tragedy or a way for tens of millions of people to be on a registry, at some point, I think we all kind of thought, yeah, they're going to try something with these. And even more so than bump stocks. And look what happened to bump stocks. I mean, there was a big deal made about them after a tragedy. Trump had them banned, and now, you know, these people are literally taking their property, destroying it, or, you know, whatever they did with them. I never had one, but that wasn't the point. And now, years later, they say, no, actually, we're going to reverse the ruling on that too. So here's the deal, man. We have until May 30th, so 120 days to register or do whatever we're going to do with these. My personal opinion and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait because there's already lawsuits piling up. I mean, FPC, I know Gun Owners of America, these Second Amendment advocate groups that truly care about this, they're going to be filing lawsuits out the wazoo. I'm sure there'll be personal lawsuits as well. If there isn't already, I really wouldn't rush out and do anything just yet. And this is, of course, just my opinion. I'm not telling anybody to not do this, but this is just what I'm doing. I'm just going to hold off. But personally, I just think this is going to get reversed from a lawsuit. There's going to be some other court that deems this as unconstitutional, and that's what I'm kind of hoping for, and that's what I believe will happen. Now, if we get to the point where it's the beginning of May and it's still, hey, May 30th, you have to do something. At that point, we're just going to have to, you're going to have to make a decision. I mean, it's obvious, anybody that has a gun channel, you don't want to be flaunting these things around. If that ruling goes into effect, or the ruling has gone into effect, so we're now in that amnesty period or that grace period, whatever the hell they're deeming it. So I'm going to leave a link to the Federalist down in the description. If I happen to forget, which does happen from time to time, just let me know in the comments and I'll link it for sure. But it's an article highlighting some more issues with this whole ruling, right? And one of those being that the ATF really doesn't even have the power to forego the $200 tax stamp because it's collected by the Treasury. So let's say they were to waive that, then do we have to pay that later on down the line? I mean, who really knows as far as that goes? What happens to the people that live in states that SBRs aren't allowed to be owned, right? Those people really have no option to create a free SBR, so they're going to have to destroy their property and or turn it in. So you have two really big Second Amendment issues here. You have the registration part of it, and then you also have the confiscation, which is more like, hey, turn in your guns to the ATF and everything will be just fine. So this is just bad on all fronts. Not only do you have to destroy your property or turn it in, but you can also sign yourself up for free on a registry. And so that's one of the most concerning parts is I do see people out there like, man, I wanted to do an SBR anyway, so now I got a free $200 tax stamp, but at what cost will you really get that free SBR or free tax stamp? There's a lot of people that just don't want to do that. They don't want to go through the extra processing of having to do that. Now, one other thing that I looked into is, because I had kind of always heard that if you have an SBR or a silencer or something like that, then the ATF can just check out your home or check out your setup at any point. That's actually not true, thank God, fortunately. And so a lot of people that own silencers and SBRs can attest to that, unless there is, of course, some probable cause and they're able to get a warrant to come into your home. And I guess that could really happen to anybody, especially with red flag laws and things like that. So we're kind of going off a little bit, but I just want to give you every possibility and every scenario to think about. This whole free $200 tax stamp is not all it's cracked up to be. At some point, you may have to pay that back, and in one way or another, and potentially even with the cost of freedom. I don't like it at all. I think it's ridiculous, and I really am hoping that these lawsuits will continue to pile up, putting so much pressure, again, on an agency that is supposed to work within the laws that are already there, not create new ones. I would definitely recommend continuing to send letters. Dude, the GOA has that amazing feature where you put in your address and your name and all that, and they will automatically send a pre-written email to all of your representatives. You don't really have to do anything but type a few words. That's really a great way to continue to put pressure on these guys. But here's what it comes down to. Whether you agree or adamantly disagree, you got to do your own research. You got to come up with your own conclusion to what you are going to do. This is just, of course, my opinion. Now, if you seriously disagree that this is a Second Amendment issue, Leave those comments down below as well. I want to hear why. Not just, hey man, you're stupid and you make no sense. I want to hear some kind of reasoning as to why you don't think this is a Second Amendment issue. But don't worry, man. We're not going to send you to the gallows or the gulag or to burn you at the stake for having a different opinion. I say you're wrong. I would challenge you on that. But that doesn't mean I don't want your opinion heard as well. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold it down. Three misses. That penis target is just swinging away. Let's get the competitor and try that one.